Hey everyone, welcome to the online program of Amrita Civil Service Academy. My name is CB Joy, and in this video, as part of our Mains Master Program 2020, we'll be discussing the question of society as part of our Mains Master Program. So the question is, discuss to what extent the rising demand for reservation, especially among the upper caste groups, has an impact on diluting the stigma of the caste system. So this is a 10-mark question, it's for 150 marks. So while approaching this question, I'd like to give you an overall idea of what is to be written and how the structure is to be formed. So I've just written a basic background, basic structure, which is good for all questions that you're going to attend in your mains. So any question that you're taking will have its own introduction, body and conclusion part. So what do we do while we are looking at our introduction, and what do we do when we're looking at our body, and what do we write when we are looking at the conclusion? That is what I would like to generally say. So whenever you're writing your introduction for any question, please understand, identify the theme or the main component of the question. So in this question, the main component is the topic of reservation, especially among the upper caste groups. So definitely while you are writing the introduction, understand and define what reservation is. Now reservation, you can look at any journal or you can look at any books and you can find the definition, but frankly I would say identify the working definition which is very comfortable for you, the aspirant, to write it on a paper. So you can go for some books, you can go for some journals or magazines to get the perfect definition of reservation. My personal suggestion, try to make your own definition which covers all the aspects and write it. So in your introduction part, definitely the first part should be the definition, if there is a possibility for that. If you identify the theme, go and write the definition. Now in every question, even though the theme may be that, there will be a link to something else which will be in the second part or in the first part of the question. So you need to understand the link. So in this case, they've said how the rising demand for reservation, especially among the upper caste groups, have an impact on diluting the stigma of the caste system. So you need to link the major theme with the second part or the other part of the question. So you need to make a link between, in this case, you need to make a link between the reservation system, especially the reservation among the upper caste groups, and you have to make a link with the dilution of the caste system. So that is where you must focus upon. You must find the definition, you must write the definition, make a link between the second part of the question, and that is your introduction. So I'll give a detailed analysis of what is to be written. Let me just finish off the structure. So that should be the proper introduction for you. Then what do you write in the body? So the question is, discuss to what extent the rising demand for reservation, especially among the upper castes, has an impact on diluting the stigma of caste system. So the question itself says there's a rising demand for reservation among the upper castes, and now you have to say why there is a rise in demand for reservation among the upper caste. So you can give the reasons for that. Then that should be a very small part of the answer, that is to just say why there is a demand. That is not the main body of the question. This is just as a prelude, or just as a small intro to the main body of the question. So even the body will have its own subparts. So just to go inside the main body, you can just say why there has been a demand for reservation. You can also include it if needed in the introduction also, because of the recent events where many groups have asked for reservation. You can also include that as part of your introduction, but there must be a small link before going towards the main body of the answer. So now you say why there is a demand for reservation among the upper caste groups, and once that has been said, you come to the main body of the question, that is, discuss to what extent the rising demand has impact on diluting the caste system. Rising demand for reservation has an impact on diluting the caste system. Now you have to give an analysis how the demand for reservation has affected the caste system. Has it affected it politically? Has it affected it socially? Has it affected it economically? Has it brought about a change on a complete, as a nation, has it brought forth a change? Has it changed the people's sentiments? So you need to understand the differences it has been brought in. Has the caste system diluted across the various different spheres? You need to understand whether it has changed in the political sphere, whether it has changed in the economic sphere, whether it has changed in the social sphere. Once you can make a qualitative analysis on whether there has been a dilution across the political boundary, across the social boundary, across the economic boundary, because of this, you can make a analysis and you can discuss that, and that is what should be there in the body. And once that body is done, you can, in your conclusion, you can bring forth the way forward, like what is needed to make sure that the country as a whole moves towards it. Or you can say what is the importance of this theme, what is the idea of this reservation, and you can bring some case studies or examples to justify it, or to consolidate your entire answer. That should be the idea while you are writing mains, and should be the idea while you are writing this answer. So that is the general idea. We'll be going detailed inside each part of the answer. So first, for the introduction, what is reservation? Now I leave the choice to you. As part of your answer key, I have this statement for reservation. Reservation in the act of withholding, reserving or keeping back some of the seats for upliftment of status and standard of living of socially and educationally backward sections, classes or groups. So that is a working definition that I have. So you can say it's an act of withholding, reserving some seats for the upliftment of status and standard of socially and educationally backward sections of the society or classes or groups. And this reservation system was brought about to counter the deep-rooted caste system and its problems. So that was the idea behind bringing forth this reservation system. That can be your definition. Now, how do you link it with the second part of the question? The second part of the question says how this has diluted the stigma of the caste system, especially with regards to the reservation among the upper castes. You can say that there has been a change. Reservation system has brought forth a change, especially among the social and educational backward classes, by giving them more economic opportunity, by bringing forth upliftment among the society, especially among the social and educationally backward classes. But at the same time, you can say it has also widened the social cleavage. It has also led to fractures within the society. So you can say that while reservation, you can give a definition for reservation, and you can follow it by linking it with the dilution of caste system. You can say it has been diluted in the economic sense, but generally there has still been barriers in the political and the social barriers to caste system has still remained rigid despite the caste system. So now that is there for the introduction. You can write that for your introduction. What about the body? First, you need to say why there has been a demand for reservation among the upper castes. So demand among upper castes. So that is one thing. You need to say it. You can say that because of in the present situation, the economy has been in a downturn. Plus, more than that, in India, generally, a government service is considered to be one of the most prestigious and the most stable services one can achieve in India. So, taking that into account, there is a large number of people, especially among the younger population, the youth population, who aspire to get a government job. So, in that, when there is a quota of reservation, there is a sense of feeling that the meritocracy principle has been lost, and the reservation has been acting as a barrier towards people from improving their lot in life. This has been especially dominant among the poorer sections of the upper caste groups. So this is one of the major reasons. This has been you can quote this along with examples of the Gujar agitation or the Patidar agitation or the Maratha agitation. So you can say that where there has been a there has been a demand for reservation, especially with regards to the certain upper caste communities like the Gujar, the Patidar, and even the state of Maharashtra, there has been a demand for Maratha reservation, especially in the government services. So this is something that you can say as a prelude to what you're going to say in the main body. So once you said that why there has been a demand for reservation among the upper caste groups, now we are going for the main part of the question. How much this has had an impact on diluting the caste system. So you can say impact on dilution of caste system. What has been the impact? There have been both positive and negative impact. Usually the problems of while the economic problems have been resolved, especially in the social and educationally backward classes, the economic and certain even educational opportunities have increased for the backward classes, while at the same time there has been a problem in the social sense. You can take an example of villages where there is still a practice of communities living together and other communities being excluded from the main part of the village. So this is something that it is still being practiced despite all this reservation policy. At the same time, so, there has been an improvement in the economic and the educational opportunities given to the social and educationally backward caste groups. So keeping this into mind, you can say that there is both. There has been a dilution of the caste system. There has been a dilution of the system due to the reservation. There has been a dilution in certain spheres of economic and educational opportunities. But there is still the inherent strength of caste system has still been retained, especially with regards to social commitments like marriage or marriage, or maybe even in the birth, the ceremonies being followed are still being attached to the social caste system which is prevalent in the country. So you can say in the social sphere there has not been much change. Now that is there for the caste system in general. Now how does it link to the increase in demand among the increase in demand for reservation among the upper caste groups? Now earlier the problem of reservation used to create a problem of cleavage, social cleavage between the upper caste groups and the other groups, because there was a problem of reservation being utilized by a very specific section of the reserved community, where they themselves keep renewing the reservation between them. So that was a major argument put forth by the upper caste groups. At the same time, there is a demand, there is still the validity, and the demand for reservation is still valid, because there are many people who are still demanding for reservation and who still deserve reservation. So this has created a clash between them. So you can again reiterate the point by saying that the question of meritocracy has increased right now. The question of meritocracy has increased, with the question with meritocracy being considered to be the most important thing. The question of reservation has always clashed with the concept of meritocracy. And keeping this into mind, the principle of meritocracy has actually comparatively gone down with regards to reservation, is what the groups which are not under the reserved category are saying. And they demand that this has created a kind of imbalance, and they are asking for reservation. So you can say that why the root cause of the problem can also be identified to economic prosperity. You can say that while there is a demand for the core demand for reason for reservation from the upper caste groups is because there is a demand for economic prosperity. Like I said earlier, the demand for a safe and secure, stable government job, which is considered to be highly prestigious in our country, is very much in demand. But considering the short availability of jobs present and the large demographic dividend that we have, there are too many people chasing too few jobs. And considering, and there the question of reservation brings problems inside ever shrinking job availability and a ever increasing job workforce. So there the question of economic prosperity puts everything into question, and the demand for reservation keeps increasing among the upper caste groups. So while that has been done, you can still say, while in economic angle there has been a large scale dilution because of this increasing demand, but at the same time the social cleavage is still wide. The social cleavage is still widening. There are still being instances of caste discrimination being followed in many parts of India. So you can say, you can divide the discrimination into many parts. You can divide it into the political, into the economic, and into the social parts. In the political angle, you can say that reservation has been used by the political parties as a vote bank politics, and they are trying to garner the votes and to consolidate the votes. So you can say that is also a possibility you can bring in. So you can bring in all these three multiple angles, but at the same time understand that it is a 150-word question. So the explanation I've given is a bit large. Compress it, make it, put it into smaller points. I've mentioned the major points, note it, bring it into two sides, and finish it with a conclusion. Now what do you write in the conclusion? Now in any case, if you are in any doubt, always choose the middle path. Go towards the more positive outcome. That should be the best choice you can write in your answers for UPSC. So in the conclusion, you can say what is the way forward. You can say that the reservation alone will not solve the issues. The main problem can be the lack of economic availability for the people all across India. So then the onus is not on reservation, but the onus should be on the creation of more jobs, creation of more wealth, so that more job creation happens. So then the policy must be more towards job creation. At the same time, we must understand that reservation is also needed for many parts of the society. But the arguments are valid because there are, it is not everybody gets reservation equally. So we can say there must be a reorientation of the reservation system, because over the past 75 years, reservation has been maintained, and there can be more changes brought in to reflect the present socio-economic situation and bring in a better solution. So in the way forward, you can mention that, you can bring up the necessary changes which is needed, and that can be brought in. And for conclusion, you can include case studies and examples of where you believe that the problems can be resolved. If you have any solutions, if you have read something in your news articles or something, it would be most happy if you, I would be most happy if you can link it as part of a conclusion. You can say this is a solution which can be implemented to ensure that the conflicts can be reduced and the social cleavage can be reduced. So that can be an worthy conclusion that you can bring forth. Always try to end the conclusion on a positive note. Make sure that you are sticking to the intro. There must be a link between the conclusion and the intro. So while writing your conclusion, make sure that you link it with the introduction. You say that while the reservation is needed, reorientation is quite good step forward to make sure that it is reflecting the present socio-economic situation, and it will also help reduce the widening gaps or any fractures which are present between the various groups in India, and this will lead to a much more consolidation and integrity of the nation. So that is how you can conclude this answer. So that is the explanation for the first question. This is CB Joy signing off. Thank you.